you good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told, where, honestly, it's in the name.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And it's Monday, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm with my guy. You know who he is, Mr. Nicholas. I want the smoke, Rosario. What up, Nick?
Hey, Sean, how are we doing on this fine Monday, July 10th? It's been such a great day. I've had such a great weekend. I'm just in such a good mood. Like, you just wouldn't believe it, man. You just wouldn't believe it. That's all I'm saying. I'm happy to be here. In the words of Anthony Handy and Akeem, just happy to be here. Very happy to be here. That's right. Absolutely.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told. We are here, episode 6, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, you see, my guy is back. Worked crazy amount of hours a week ago. So we had somebody come and fill in. Shout out to our guy, Scott Thaler, as he came in and filled in a little bit. But our guy is back. And Nick, man, what are we talking about today?
Well, we talked about maybe doing something a little bit different. You know, we've get a little heavy on the subject matter up to this point, at Truth Be Told. But again, we like to start conversations and dialogue. But today we're going to give you a little bit of glimpse of ourselves. Sean and I have decided to do a show about favorites. So we picked some things. We're going to talk about some favorites, and I'm sure we'll have plenty in the comments, and everybody can, join in with those as well. So yeah, this should be a fun show. Again, we're just going to go through some list of favorites. And I guess to start us off, Sean, we're going to start with favorite quotes. Now, obviously, everybody knows what a quote is. Everybody has, life mantras or things that they say to each other or to other people. And so I thought this would be a good one to kind of just, let you know where Sean and I are at with this sort of thing. So, Sean, I have a few myself. If you want, what we can do is we can trade off. How about you start first with give me one of your favorite quotes?
From the A-Team. I always watched the A-Team when I was younger.
Okay.
I loved that. My dad had a van that was just like that. So I loved when Hannibal used to say, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it's not a real one, but it's still so I like that.
Hey, man, that counts. That is a classic. Anybody who was alive to watch in the 80s, the A-Team, that line was in every show. He always said at some point, I love it when a plan comes together. That's actually a great one. That could be applied to anything just about. So yeah, because everybody's got a plan, right? And I love it when it comes together, baby. That's a good one.
Absolutely.
100%. Now here's one that I don't actually know. I tried to look up. I don't know who this is credited to, but this has always been a favorite of mine. And it's yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today is a gift. And I've tried to really look at life that way as I've gotten older. When I was younger, I just did whatever. I wasn't thinking about nothing, But as I've gotten older, I've really started to cherish this and really think about this. You can't get yesterday back. You don't know what tomorrow holds, but you're here today. And that's a gift, baby. So yeah, I try to, I plan for some stuff in the future, but I do try to live in the moment, try to live day by day, to see how I can improve and things like that. So I don't know who that's credited to, but yesterday's history, tomorrow's mystery, and today's a gift. One of my favorites. Sean, you got another one for us?
Jimmy V, what did he say? You got to live, or you got to laugh, cry, and think.
And if you do that all in one day, yeah, that's a good day if you do that all in the same day. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. I know it just comes up at that time on Jimmy V week normally, but that's something you could carry with you everywhere, So
yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love that. And Jimmy V, man, always, just that whole story was great. So to have that and to have it resonate to this day, I think is amazing.
Yeah, just a quick side note, they actually, I don't know if you caught it or not, back, I think early 90s, there was a TV movie about Jim Valvano where Anthony LaPaglia played Jim Valvano in the TV movie. Yeah, and I actually caught it when it was on. I actually watched it because I was like, well, I got to watch this. Valvano, like, well, it's like maybe mid 90s because he died in 93, 94, right after the ESPYs when he made the big speech. Yeah. So, yeah, he didn't make it to the next year's ESPYs. But, yeah, that was a great movie just to see, winning the title at NC State, blah, 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 some of the other things that went on. So, yeah, definitely a good story. I've got another one, and this is probably from one of my musical legend, one of my musical heroes, Mr. John Lennon himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think this is so true. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Yep. Isn't that so true? Because we are always talking about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then, something in life happens. You go, yeah, I'm going to have to put that on hold, or I'm going to have to wait to do that, or whatever it is. But I just always found that quote to be great. Again, another one of my favorites. John Lennon obviously was a musical hero of mine. I mean, it's like, for my parents' generation, where you were the day that Kennedy was killed?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know where I was on the day that John Lennon was pronounced dead because I was watching Monday Night Football with my dad. It was Dolphins Patriots Monday Night Football. Howard Cosell breaks in with the announcement. So, yeah, it's one of those. I remember that day very clearly. And, yeah, so that's one of those, great quotes. Any more, Sean? You got anything else you want to share with us on the quotes?
I think those are the two that I really love.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the ones that stick out right away. You know what I mean?
No, awesome for sure. I got one more for you, and I like this one because this guy is probably one of my favorite. I'm a big history guy, and he's probably my favorite president, even though I obviously was not alive when he was in office. But reading about him, and I'm going to get into that in a minute as well. But Mr. Abe Lincoln had a quote that says, In the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years that count. And that's so true. Like, I really do think it's true because we all live a life. We all do different things. But, man, you can live to be 80. You can live to be 40, whatever it is. But, man, live the life. It's the life in those years, man. It's what you do with the time you're here that counts, right? That's really what makes that great. So those are just a few, gives you an idea, where Sean and I are at with some of that stuff. I love, I love quotes. I could probably go on. I got a few more, but let us move on. We shall move on to another one that I think, and I'll tie it in real quick since I did just mention Mr. Abe Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite books. I like to think that, I know how to read and I can read, and I may not be the biggest reader in America, but I have picked up a few books in my day and read and tried to educate myself on different things. And one of my favorites, speaking of Mr. Abraham Lincoln, is a book that's actually called Lincoln by an author named David Herbert Donald. Okay. This is a Lincoln biography. I got it from my father. My father actually had it, and I borrowed it from him. And it's pretty lengthy. It's a pretty thick, nice book, but it's all about Lincoln's life. From the beginning, growing up in, that small little cabin with his parents and his siblings, and just, he was a wrestler in high school. A lot of people don't know that. Abraham Lincoln was a wrestler. Yeah, he was a wrestler. Did a couple of different things. Obviously got into politics, was part of the Whig Party, started kind of start that. So Lincoln was always a fascinating guy to me with different things. However you feel about history, the Emancipation Proclamation and all that. So, the history of Lincoln, which obviously that is a good thing. We just celebrated Juneteenth not too long ago. That ties into the abolishment of slavery, of course. So always a good thing. But yeah, David Herbert Donald wrote this great biography on Lincoln. So if anybody's interested in your history buffs out there, and again, a quick side note, I always get sidetracked. Don't mind me. But if you're a history guy, like if you're a history person, Springfield, Illinois, of course, Springfield is the capital of Illinois, and it's about 4 hours from Chicago. That's the birthplace. That's where Lincoln lived. They have tours. You can tour his house. They built a brand new Lincoln Museum some years back. I was able to go down there and check that out. It's really great. He's got the Presidential Lincoln Library down there. So if you're a person who really loves history or you're a big Lincoln fan, I do suggest you get to Springfield and check all that out. It's a great time. You'll enjoy it. I was there about 5 years ago for about 4 days, and I got a chance to see everything. It was really great. So that's the side note there on the Lincoln thing. Sean, how about you? You got a book for us? Something you really find entertaining or enjoyable?
I don't know. The first real full-length book I read was the autobiography of what is his name? Ben Carson, about him being a neurosurgeon and everything. It's actually a really interesting book. I didn't read it out of pleasure. I read it because my dad said you need to read it by tomorrow. And somehow, and normally that doesn't work, but it worked this time. I picked it up and I read the whole thing, and it was very interesting. I can't. I might not agree with everything that he stands for now, but at the time, to become one of the first African American neurosurgeons, I think it was really an interesting book. It was really an interesting one, and I think if it's long, it's about 450. Almost 500 pages, but if you can get through it, I think it's a really good book. It just talks about his perseverance and him continually having to work harder and to get to where he's at. So it was really nice. I liked it, and I wasn't really a book guy at that time, but
no, for sure.
Surprised.
No, that again, I'm a big fan of autobiographies myself.
Yeah,
which leads me into the next one that I'm going to talk about briefly. This is when I read, because this guy was a comedic hero of mine.
Yeah.
And obviously he passed away in 97. When I say the name, you'll know the story. But it's called The Chris Farley Show, an autobiography, a biography in 3 acts. And it's written by his brother, Tom Farley Jr., and a guy named Tanner Colby. But it tells all about Chris's life, how he grew up, the relationship with his father, with his brothers, going to Marquette University, all that stuff. Getting into Second City, getting into Chicago, getting into the comedy, all that, obviously for those of you who were around in the 90s, Chris Farley was a big name back then. Saturday Night Live, Tommy Boy, Beverly Hills Ninja, stuff like that. He was the original Shrek. He actually had recorded almost 3/4 of the movie Shrek before he died. So they had to scrap that. And that's how Michael Myers became Shrek. But yeah, it's a great biography. Just, again, he was one of my comedic heroes. Obviously, I was a bigger guy trying to do comedy at the time as well, so I looked up to Farley in that regard. He was Belushi as well. Belushi was another guy, but The Chris Farley Show by Tom Farley Jr. and Tanner Colby. Again, just read all about his life. As always, what I like about biographies is they always most of them include pictures. So there's a nice little picture section in the middle of the book. You can check out some of Chris's photos from his life and all that. So that's another one that definitely is a favorite of mine. What else you got for us, Sean? Got something else you want to share with everyone?
I didn't I didn't really read a lot. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I thought that was a really good book. And then I watched the movie right after that. So I thought that was really good, but really I'm telling on myself, but I really have not sat down and read many books like that. Many that have anything else. Books that aren't really talking football. Football books, I can read those all day. But I have not read as many of these. So yeah, that Malcolm X one I thought was really good because I didn't know about his whole time in Michigan and how him and he used to run with Red Fox back in the day. They used to hustle together, and he lived a certain life and then got converted in prison and came out. It was just the movie is one thing, but I definitely recommend reading the book because it does give a little bit more insight on a lot of stuff, and it's not as dramatized as the movie is with Denzel.
Sure, no, for sure. And again, I know that that was the one that they did base the movie on because I know there was one particular Malcolm X biography that the movie was based on. And that's the one. Okay, that's the one. Then so again, it's not a book I've read, but I'm always fascinated by people's lives, I guess, and those are the books I tend to gravitate towards. Stuff about real, nonfiction. Because people ask me all the time, "Oh, have you read this?" No. Have you read? No. Sorry, no, not that one either. Like, no, nonfiction. If it's a biography, I'll check it out. Fiction, I'm not a huge fan, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one more for myself, only because this is it's also an important time, like in American history. There was a book called Devil in the White City written by Eric Larson. Mm-hmm. And it takes place during the 1893 exposition here in Chicago, which is the first, what we know of the first documented serial killer, a guy named H.H. Holmes, who lived right here in Chicago on the South Side. This guy would lure women to his thing. He pretended he was a doctor at times. He had a couple different things, cons that he ran. and he got this woman. He had built this, what they called it, the murder castle, because he had built this thing on the south side where it was like some doors led nowhere. There were trap doors. They just led to walls. Like he just made this whole elaborate thing so that he could kill these women and just dispose of them, throw them down the garbage chute, all that stuff. And I actually took a tour. Again, side note, one more time. They have a tour here in Chicago you can take called the Devil in the White City Tour. And it takes you to all the places that Holmes went, where his old castle was, which is now a post office, over at 63rd. And so it's really fascinating. And the book itself, like I said, documents all that during the time. And again, they put it against the backdrop of the 1893 World's Fair. Sorry, I said Columbian Exposition. 1893 World's Fair here in Chicago. Where when they built the Museum of Science and Industry, there's things there that were tied into this that Holmes had visited. So you get the whole thing. Like, very fascinating book. I read it in college. Yes, I did go to college for a little bit. For all you out there, I did go for a little bit. This was one of the books I read in college, but it's probably my favorite book that I read while I was there. Devil in the White City, Eric Larson. If you get a chance, check that out. Now we're going to go into something a little different. We've done, quotes and books; those kind of go together, literary and all that stuff. Let's get into some other stuff. How about? Everybody's got a favorite animal, right, Sean? We all have furry creatures that we love. So, how about we start with you? Give us one, couple of your favorite, or what if you have just a favorite, or a couple of favorites in the animal kingdom? There, who do you like?
I've always liked the lion. I've always liked the lion. It helps. I've been partial to the Detroit Lion. A lot of my stuff has to do with football, so the lion is. I've always just been very intrigued, by a lion. I think it was. I like that it was more of a predator kind of. I was always big on dinosaurs, so I love the correlation. It was the biggest. It was the baddest. The lions have always kind of had a special place in my heart. If we're really breaking down animals per se, like we talked about what I don't like, but I think lions are that it for me. What about you?
Right. Well, again, I put down a couple, but I'm more like everybody's like, oh, cats, dogs. No, I've never, for the first time ever, about 6 years ago, I was at one of our local zoos. And I came face to face with a peacock. Now, I had never seen a peacock live with their feathers open. You see them walking around, they got it closed. Well, this peacock opened up literally right in front of me. I don't know if she was trying to tell me something or what was going on, but literally I'm 10 feet in front of this peacock and the feathers just opened up. And just with the color and everything, it was probably one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen in my life. Just, the color in a peacock and the whole thing. I was told it was a female peacock. The zoo lady was there who was working, and she told me, yes, it's a female peacock, blah, blah, blah. But like, she was looking at me like she was staring me down, which was just kind of funny. Like, I think that's why she opened up. Like, all right, buddy, go ahead and try something. I got you.
Right.
But yeah, I just think a peacock, beautiful animal. Everybody, a lot of people, like you said, lion. Tigers, as a kid, Cincinnati Bengals, when they switched to the tiger stripes and the helmet, I always thought that was cool. Eye of the Tiger by Survivor, like everything was tiger, like Rocky 3, Eye of the Tiger, all that stuff. So I think tiger was always one of the big animals for me, for sure. Tiger, peacock, and again, I like dogs. Dogs are good. I have a dog. We have a dog, little Scooby-Doo, running around, barking at people. He's about 10 pounds out of the shower. And, he's a small dog, but it's got a big bark, so that kind of thing. But anything else for us, Sean, on the animal front?
Yeah, I'm a fan of dogs too. We never had one. I don't know. I see Scott, you're in here saying dogs and birds, and then a ram, obviously. But for me, I don't know. Maybe a bald eagle. I love the majesty of an eagle and the way its wings stretch out and everything of that nature. But I don't know. with people. Talk to us. What are some of your favorites? Here comes Nick's back.
All right, so I apologize for that, Sean. See, this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when Fumble Fingers here doesn't hit the right button, and all of a sudden I took myself off the broadcast. So 1,000 apologies. I didn't quite hear what Sean said, but I'm sure it was great, and I'm sure it continued the conversation we had.
I said a bald eagle.
Oh, bald eagle. Okay,
yeah,
all
the
right.
majesty and the wings and everything. I've seen one. I've seen one from a distance. It's pretty incredible when they're fully expanded out. I think it's pretty incredible.
Oh yeah, no, eagles are beautiful animals, and I don't think you're a Philadelphia fan, but it's all right. It's all good.
Well, yeah.
not really. It's Washington in that division. Yes, but all right. Well, listen, we want to shout out to some of the people watching. There, Ben, Kate. Who else was in there?
Scott,
Scott, Mr. Thaler, Kat. So thank you guys for tuning in to the madness that is Sean Spencer and Nick Rosario. Truth be told, we love all of you. But let us move on. Then we've graduated from the animal stage of our conversation. So let's get into something that's a little bit more not serious, but again, we were talking about books and school and all that. So we're going to talk about our favorite teachers right now. It's going to be our next one. I don't know. When preparing for this, I put down a couple because to me, I kind of split it up.
Okay.
Like I had a favorite grade school teacher, a favorite high school teacher, and then two favorite college professors.
Okay.
So that's how I split it up. So real quick, I'll go through mine then, and Sean, you can go ahead and do yours. For grammar school, it was a lady named Mrs. West. She was my 5th grade teacher. Now, she was intimidating to me because when I was in, you have that thing where, where you're going to your next grade or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was when I got to school, I was a transfer student in for 5th grade. They actually put me in another classroom.
Mm.
They had put me in a bilingual Spanish-English classroom because I was classified as Hispanic on my paperwork, but I didn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So I got in that class the first day, and I was absolutely lost. When the teacher started speaking Spanish, I was like, no hablo español. Sorry, So, but I happened to hear the teacher across the hall was giving a speech to her class.
Yeah.
And literally, she was letting them have it from all sides about this is, you're in 5th grade now. You have to be responsible. I'm not going to, she gave this huge speech, dude. I'm going, God, I'm glad I don't have her. And sure enough, where did Nick end up 2 days later after getting out of that Spanish class? Mrs. West across the hall. And I went, oh, no. But you know what? She was phenomenal. She was probably my favorite grammar school teacher. Mrs. West, again, she didn't let you get away. She was not, she was good. She was a good teacher. She taught you, but she wasn't just going to let you be lazy and not do work and not do homework and not do any of that. She was pretty much honest the whole school year. And even though I probably at the time didn't appreciate that much, I can certainly appreciate Mrs. West now. So Mrs. West, wherever you are, thank you. I do appreciate that. 5th grade was a lot of fun. I met a couple of good friends back then, and unfortunately one passed, but one guy I still kind of talk to on Facebook every now and again from 5th grade. So 5th grade was a great memory for me. Mrs. West, thank you. Now, high school is a little funnier because, high school, you go from class to class. You don't have one teacher the whole time. So you meet all these different teachers. But I had one guy, sophomore geometry, Mr. James Moore. And Mr. Moore became my favorite teacher for one reason. And I think this is the biggest reason. I found out he was a wrestling fan.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
him and I literally, during class sometimes, he literally would just, and he had this real monotone, Mr. Rosario, did you catch the paper? Did you catch the pay-per-view this weekend? I thought it was great. He just had this real slow monotone delivery, and I'm like, yeah, Mr. Moore, so I actually a couple times would tape pay-per-views and give him the tape so he could watch them. That's how much Mr. Moore and I talked about wrestling. And, and again, he was a good geometry teacher as well, but he just became my favorite because we would talk wrestling. Obviously I had geometry, and I like geometry. It's probably, truth be told, geometry. A lot of people say they struggled with geometry. They were better in algebra, but my algebra grade sucked compared to my geometry grade. So I always thought geometry was great. I love shapes and stuff and all that, stuff, puzzles and all that. Like, that was always my thing. So I was like, this class is phenomenal. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Geometry is great.
Right.
And then, of course, that was how college was different for me, because I didn't go to college till I was 38.
Mm.
And so, you come in with a lot of preconceived, like, I know how to do this, I can do that, I can do that. And the first class I ever had was a writing class, Writing 100, with Dr. Yolanda Nieves. And boy, did I think I was cool going in there. She's like, okay, everyone, can you write a quick 2 paragraphs about blah, blah, blah. I think it was like, telling me about yourself, whatever. I'm all cocky, right? I'm like, I'm going to write you love these 2 paragraphs, Mrs. Nieves. Watch this. Bro, if I didn't have so many red marks on my pair when I got those 2 paragraphs back, bro. And she told me, she goes, Nicholas, you're obviously an intelligent young man, and I think you could be a really good writer, but you don't write at the college level. And talk about getting taken down a peg, like, instantly.
Yeah.
But man, that turned out, she changed the way I wrote and the style in which I wrote all the way around.
Nice.
Like, literally, she told me not, don't always use I. You could say it this way instead of this way. You can get. I learned so much from her in just that one semester. Literally, I went from I got straight B's in her class. I got a couple of A's, but my overall grade was a B. But I really appreciated her, and I told her that when the semester ended. I said, you know what? I said, I really appreciated everything you taught me. I go, because obviously I came in here thinking I was going to be all right. I knew how to write. At that point, I had written scripts. I had written stories. I had written all this stuff. And I thought, I'm good. I'm a writer. Yeah, no. I had no clue how to write educationally. And for as a college student, I had no clue what was going on. So I really appreciated Dr. Nieves. I hope you're well. I hope you're out there still and doing your thing. I really appreciate you. Because that was about, 12 years ago now, so I'm not sure what Dr. Nieves is up to, but I hope you're good. Hope all is well. And lastly, I'll try to get through this one quickly as well. I had a history teacher. I took a class called History of America, 1863 to present.
Wow.
And I had a guy named James Zenis. And this guy was great because he wasn't, as a matter of fact, I don't even know, he couldn't have been much older than I was technically. Because I was, like I said, I was 38 already when this was the second year. So I was actually 39 by the time I took his class. So he couldn't have been like a year or two maybe older than I was, if that. He might have been even the same age for all I know. And it was just great because he gave me a love. I always liked history, but he really reignited that love of, and he's the one who got us to read that Devil in the White City book. That was in his class that we read that. Nice. And I was just that was the first book we read that semester. And I was just like, oh, this is great, man. So I really enjoyed his class. He was a really good teacher. And the best part was I got 50 extra points because he was a Civil War reenactor.
Oh, nice.
So he invited the class. He's like, you can gain some extra points if you actually come to see one of my reenactments. So I'm like, hey, I'm all for extra points, pal. I'm coming out there. So sure enough, this is what he told us when it was. I went out there. And I was the only one from my class who went. I thought that was crazy. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. I went out there, and he's like, I saw him afterwards. He's like, I really appreciate you coming out. I'm like, no, thank you for the invitation. And I'm like, and secretly I'm going, thanks for that 50 points, dog. That's going to be great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, no problem.
Use that.
Yeah. So James Zenis, I hope you're well. I hope all is good with you, sir. You could still be teaching it, right, for all I know, but glad to have met you. And again, those are the 4 teachers that really have stuck out throughout my academic life that I've had, and I just really appreciate all 4 of them. So, Sean, I will turn it over to you. I've talked enough. Go ahead and give us some of your favorite teachers.
Well, I really have mainly one, and I had her for 4 years. I had her kindergarten, first grade, and third grade, and she was there for my formative years of growing up. Miss Paula Philippum. And I've often talked about her because she was like a second mother to me. Because I had, nobody wants, separated from their mom and that type of stuff. So she came in and, would hug me and sit with me and stuff like that. She just went above and beyond. You know what I mean?
Sure.
A lot of things I see in like Kat is stuff that she has, stuff that she would have done, like taking her time out of her day to go to certain events and just be there for her students and for, and just had that patience. She had that patience to deal with me along with a lot of other kids, because we had, it was 20 plus, almost 30 kids in that class. So, and in a lot of those classes, and I know I probably wasn't easy to handle, especially when I was with my friends. So she was always really great. And honestly, like I could break it down. They have other teachers that I think like they were fun, you know what I mean? But there was nobody that had the impact that I believe she had, because she was close to my family. Even to this day, like I still am in contact with her on Facebook. So yeah, she was always very close to me and my family. And
that's awesome.
So.
No, that's great, man. So you said Philippon was the name? Sorry.
Miss Philippoon. Yeah, Paula Philippoon.
Okay, nice. I hope you're out there, Paula, and I hope hope all is well with you.
She's watched a lot of our stuff. She
really? Okay, good. Because you had to put up with Sean, so that's one thing. Good for you there. No, I'm just kidding. Sean's
She's a Cowboys fan, actually.
Oh, well then, okay, never mind then. No, I'm just kidding. Hook her up with Janae and Ash. She'll be fine. Right. No, but all right. So we got some of the favorite teachers out of the way. Again, we're just, I thought this was a good idea, just because, again, we always talk about heavy stuff on the show, or we try to get as honest and so just a little glimpse into the lives of Sean and Nick here, and give you a little something different on this fine Monday in July. So let's move on. The next thing we have on our list, and this is just kind of not a silly one, but I think it's something that you may not think about. You'd be like, oh, favorite national anthem performance. The national anthem is performed everywhere, right? For baseball games, football games, soccer, everybody plays or sings the national anthem. And I've probably heard thousands of them, because I go to sporting events, I watch sporting events, so I've seen a lot of them there, but also with other things, you hear the national anthem, that sort of thing. So Sean, I'll start with you here. Do you have a favorite national anthem, or a couple that you really feel like, hey, these are top notch, these are good?
I think Whitney. I think we have to give it to Whitney. I think she set the precedent. Everybody knows that Whitney Houston national anthem, Super Bowl 25, and just the timing and when it happened, I think set the precedent for a lot of people to follow. I know Marvin Gaye did one in the 80s in the mid 70s for the All-Star game that I thought was pretty cool. But I think when you think about the national anthem, you think, and more specifically the Super Bowl, you definitely got to go. The first thing that comes to your mind normally is that Whitney Houston, and I know that's, most people would say that, but it is top on people's list for a reason,
I have to agree, because she was number one on my list as well. That 1991 Super Bowl 25. Now, a lot of people may not know this, and I'm not, because again, it's not like it was a Milli Vanilli thing, because everybody knows Milli Vanilli, right? They didn't really sing their songs, but apparently Whitney recorded the song ahead of time and lip synced it during the actual Super Bowl, because they felt the crowd noise and everything, which she would get drowned out. But so she actually did record it. It's her singing, but for the actual day of the Super Bowl, she lip synced to her own track. So I don't know if that's just a side note. Again, I've been Mr. Side Note this evening with everything, but that is a side note. But still, to me, the greatest performance of the national anthem I've ever seen. Two others I'd like to mention, just because I thought they were not equally as good, but they were close. Alicia Keys in Super Bowl 47, 2013, she actually holds the record for longest national anthem performed, because she took a little extra time. She's Alicia Keys, playing the piano, doing her thing.
Piano in there.
So, absolutely. So Alicia, did her thing, and her anthem was good. And then also last year, Chris Stapleton did one at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so I just thought I thought he knocked it out of the park. Again, I still put Whitney number one, but the one that Chris Stapleton did last year was absolutely phenomenal. And I think I thought that anthem was just absolutely great. And again, so that's funny. Scott Thaler decided to chime in because he liked Roseanne Barr's performance of the national anthem, apparently. And for those of you who may not know, good old Roseanne, bless her heart, right? she was asked to do it was a San Diego Padres game, a baseball game. And like Roseanne was never known to be a singer, but they let her do it and it was horrible. Like by anybody's standard. Almost probably as bad as the one Carl Lewis did. If anybody ever heard the Carl Lewis national anthem, that one was pretty bad as well. But I think Roseanne takes the cake, my friend, for worst national anthem ever. And then, of course, Scott again mentioned again, and this is probably worth mentioning because Jimi Hendrix played it on his guitar.
Yeah.
And it is legendary, and everybody knows it. It's very iconic. But Jimmy getting up there, I think it was the morning of Woodstock, like it was one of the early in the morning. He came on and just starts wailing the national anthem on his guitar, which again, you could probably catch all these clips on YouTube if anyone's interested in any of these performances. But yeah, Jimmy definitely killed it with that guitar national anthem. No words whatsoever, just his instrument. And that, obviously we all know Jimmy was one of the best guitar players of all time. So
absolutely.
Great rendition. If you get a chance, check it out. All right, so we've gotten through quotes, we've gotten through books, we've gotten through animals and teachers and national anthem performances. We did add a couple extra ones, just again, trying to keep it light, a little bit. So this next one is something that's truly near and dear to my heart, because for those of you who have seen me, I like to eat. So we just thought we'd throw this one in, maybe start a fight in the comment section, because, everybody has an opinion on this sort of thing. But we're going to go with favorite dessert. So, Sean, we'll start with you, my friend. Give us, where does your sweet tooth take you whenever you need something?
Well, if it's all time, it's sweet potato pie. But if it's just like a quick snack, it'd probably be like marshmallows, maybe. I used to always have a fascination with them in high school. I think those used to be Smarties for a while, but they tore up my teeth. So, but it was definitely I'd say marshmallows, because they were really good to me for some time. But sweet potato pie, if we're talking about dinner dessert,
Okay. Yeah, no, I kind of like with you. If we're talking like all time favorite dessert, mine is actually apple pie with vanilla ice cream.
Ooh, nice.
I could eat that any day of the week, man. You just throw it in front of me, no problem. I'll put it down. Not a problem. But yeah, a nice hot piece of apple pie with some vanilla ice cream. Throw it right on there. Fantastic. But a close second, and this is one that I only came about later in life a little bit, because I went to a local Baker Square one day and had a piece of French silk pie. And that just turned me upside down. I'm like, oh, this stuff is good. I got to get one of these. And for a couple of years after that, every holiday I would go get one, because I'm like, I got to have that French silk pie. Go to Baker Square, get that pie. So, yeah, as far as desserts goes, pie is a big one for me. So I enjoy that. But obviously, brownies and cookies are up there for like an everyday kind of dessert. You always have a cookie laying around, or go to the store and buy a brownie just because you want to, that sort of thing. So that's me. Again, John, the marshmallow thing is interesting. You don't hear marshmallows being mentioned too much as a favorite of people. So that's pretty once in a while in my hot cocoa maybe, but I would never just pop open a bag of marshmallows and just start chowing down. So I like that, Sean.
That's always been something. Always been something I've had a affinity for. Just quick, easy, to the point, Yeah,
for sure, my friend. All right, so we did pick another kind of fun category to go here in our show. So we went with favorite actor or actress. Because again, I think we all watch movies. We've all seen television shows or that sort of thing. So this is another fun one. So Sean, we'll go ahead again. Start with you. Favorite. You can do both if you have a favorite actor, which I always found funny. Here we go. Side note again with Nick Rosario today. Why nowadays, and the way things are going, and the way the political climate or the climate is today, why not just say actors? Why do they keep separating actor and actress? Isn't it the same thing? I'm just saying. I'm not trying to start no great controversy or anything like that. But they're all actors, right? That's what they do. They all have the same job. They all, they're all actors. So, but anyways, so if you have a favorite actor, do you have a particular, both, or what do you think there, Sean? What are you?
I've always been partial to Denzel Washington. Always been a huge fan with him. of him. As far as female, I mean, obviously, I love Angela Bassett. I'm a huge Marissa Tomei fan.
No. Yeah.
So you can put that up there. But yeah, it's Denzel for me, and then Angela Bassett. But Whoopi was huge for me. My growing up, those early Sister Act movies, that was big for me. But
Color Purple and all that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I have a couple, but yeah, it's all powerful, good acting, great movies, and they're continually doing stuff. So I love the work ethic, but also just all the different characters they play.
Okay, no, hey, totally fair, man. Like I said, I was in thinking about this and kind of going over, because obviously a lot of people are like, well, you got the big ones, De Niro, Pacino, right? Like these guys are. And I think Pacino's probably always been my favorite male actor, but I'm not going to deny the fact that he's a great over actor as well, and has butchered some Hispanic accents in movies. So a lot of people criticize Al for that, but that's fine. But Al's always been a favorite of mine. But I think honestly, one guy I've always liked is actually Russell Crowe. I think Russell Crowe has always been a guy for me. I mean, from anything L.A. Confidential. If you ever seen L.A. Confidential.
Yeah.
He played Bud White, the police detective, and I just think that movie's great. And I think his performance in there, man, runs the whole range from he's an angry guy, that he's trying to be a loving guy with Kim Basinger. I just thought his performance that was great. Obviously, Gladiator and a few other things that Russell has done. Big Russell Crowe fan. Now, as far as actresses go, Sandra Bullock has always kind of been one of my favorites. Like Sandra Bullock. First seeing her in Speed driving the bus and all that, and then she went on to do her other thing. And then she did the second Speed movie, right, without Keanu, and that one sucked. But whatever. I'm just saying, But Sandra Bullock, honestly, to me, has always been one of my favorites. The Blind Side, she won the Oscar for. I thought that was a great performance for her. Like, just Sandra Bullock has definitely always been someone that I've. We did have a couple other comments here. Scott is a Keanu Reeves fan, which that's not bad at all, my friend. Keanu has done some great work over the years, and I
totally agree.
It's in some ways, I actually, I know people like him. You hear the stories about him as a person, but I think Keanu is a little underrated when it comes to like his acting performances. Honestly, like, have you ever seen a movie called The River's Edge? Great movie. He did a movie with River Phoenix called My Own Private Idaho. Okay. A great performance there. I mean, Keanu has constantly turned the devil's advocate with the aforementioned Al Pacino. That's a good movie. It's a good Keanu performance. Like, he's just turned in like good, and everybody loves The Matrix and John Wick and all that. So I mean, Keanu is constantly putting up right good performances left and right. Like, the guy's he's a likable guy. So how can you not, be a fan of Keanu? And then, of course, Scott also mentioned Halle Berry. I think a lot of people – this is me, but a lot of people slept on Halle Berry until Monsters Ball. Yeah. Like, a lot of people went, Monsters Ball, yeah, that's great. She wins the Oscar. Oh, my God, Halle. But if you saw some of her early work, like even at Jungle Fever, she played a crackhead. Mm-hmm. But, that was a really good performance for Halle Berry, I thought. Like, she's done other work that I thought, she's not bad at all. Like, she was the original Storm in the X-Men movie. Yep. She was good in that. She was good in that. Like, you had Swordfish with John Travolta and Hugh Jackman. Like, that was a pretty good performance for her. Yeah, so, I mean, Halle, I think even before Monsters Ball, people kind of slept on Halle Berry thinking, she's just a pretty face, blah, blah, married to David Justice and all that stuff. But, I thought Halle Berry held her own with a lot of big, with big heavyweights in movies, and then she finally got her break in Monsters Ball. Wins the Oscar. So, yeah, Halle Berry I could see as well. Let's see. What else do we got here? Oh, and then now Scott's throwing out more names. He said Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, which, again, Brad Pitt doesn't seem to do bad movies, does he? At least not lately. A lot of the stuff he's done lately, everybody has loved Brad. Like, Brad's great in this. He's done this. He's done that. And, of course, we know the history of Tom Cruise. That guy I don't know how many more Mission Impossible movies he can do, but, I mean, the guy does his own stunts. I don't know if he has a death wish or not, but every movie he tries to top himself with the stunts he does. And, So you just go, okay, Tom, whatever, my brother. Have your, right, you just have your fun, do your thing. But yeah, God bless you, my friend. But anyways, well, yeah, no, it's just so, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Sean and I are always happy to be here on a Monday to chat with you guys. Like I said, the show is called Truth Be Told. We did a show today on our favorites. We do appreciate everyone who was watching. We appreciate all the comments, obviously. Thank you for supporting Sean and I through this. This really came about, 6 weeks ago? In a sense, so. Sean, I have an idea for a show. And I was like, hey, let's run with it, buddy. I like it. So, again, thanks, Scott, for filling in last week. I just wasn't able to be here. So thank you, Scott. Again, thank you for the comments, Ben, Kat, Kate watching. Thank you guys so much. But before we go, we do want to mention something, an unfortunate thing that happened to a member of the Let's Talk Football family, and a guy that we've met in the last few years, a really good guy. Kyle Yacing, some of you have seen Kyle on all our shows. He's been on all of them, and he has he does his own thing with the North Sports Dynasty and all that stuff. But Kyle's father passed the other day. So we really just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers to Kyle and his family. Obviously, this is a difficult time for them and for Kyle as well. So, just know we're with you, brother. Again, I can't imagine what you're going through right now. So, again, but if you ever, need to reach out or you need to talk or whatever, we're here for you, man. Again, prayers to you and your family. So we do want to just say that before we get off here, to Kyle and his family. But again, thank you all for watching. Again, Sean and I appreciate the support. Truth be told, we like doing this show. So that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Catch us next week because we'll be back. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy.